just died? Can you grab me a pen? Thank you. Good morning. The format for today is we will have head coaches on the dais to start. During that time, the 5 starters will be in the breakout rooms. Rooms 1 and 2 are right here to my left, and 3, 4, and 5 are just down the hall before you hit the locker rooms. Thank you so much. Yes. Mm-hmm. No. Yes. Yeah, they're all making their way to various places right now. But we will not have any student athletes on the dais. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Coach, how are you? Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Great day to be a Bulldog.
Good morning. So we'll get started with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll take questions. We will get to everyone this morning. We have some time, so just raise your hand, wait for the microphone, and we'll take care of you.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's a great day to be a Bulldog. Giving God the glory for number 37 last night, I believe, and just excited about the day and the opportunity. Congratulations to Notre Dame on a tremendous hard-fought victory last night. I think last night was great for our game, and you had 2 outstanding games played by 4 outstanding teams, and as somebody that's done this a long time, just proud to be a part of this industry and this game. So we're excited. Today's a pretty important day. People ask me all the time, what'd you learn last year and what would you do different? And there's going to be some things that we'll do different today that we didn't do last year, and to get ready. But I'm just excited for our kids. I'm so happy for those 4 seniors. They're getting to play it out again in their career, and so again, we're just excited about the day.
Thank you. Questions? We'll start right here.
Hey, Coach. Doug Lomberg, the AP. When you were at this point last year, you had just come off the historic, unbelievable thing that no one outside of your locker room you said thought was going to happen. Is it easier this year that there wasn't that monumental upset to get to the championship game? It was obviously a great game last night, but not that magnitude to focus and get ready for the title game that maybe last year would have been?
Sure. I think that's yet to be determined as far as how we respond. We know we're going against a tremendous Notre Dame team. Muffet's a tremendous coach. Her and her staff do a tremendous job, and so we know we're in. People say, well, they might have thought we played Connecticut. Well, the only thing worse than playing Connecticut is playing the team that beat them. I mean, they're really good. Notre Dame's a heck of a team, and you know what? Coming in, I had an assistant already prepared in case that happened. I mean, I knew they played earlier in the year. It was a heck of a game. In fact, Notre Dame led most of the way. So we fully knew that what happened last night could happen, and so we're prepared for that. But hopefully, like I told our kids, what we're going to do today, I thought last year we got beat because we looked tired the second day. Now, whether that was from emotional distress, from, just coming off the high, or if we were just physically exhausted, which I don't think it is, whatever the case, I can control that today, and I'm going to control that by what we do in practice. That's something that I will control.
Question right here.
Hey, Coach. Ava Wallace from the Washington
Morning, Ava.
Post. Talking about, that coming off from that high, have you had a chance to check in with your team mentally today and see how they're doing after last night's late night? And does going through that last year, kind of experiencing the highs and lows of those emotions, do you think that'll help this time around?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance. Last night, I think I left the film room at 3:30. I was up at 6:30 this morning. Victoria received the Ann Myers Drysdale Award this morning, so we were at that award presentation. We left the hotel at 7:20. I've been with her all morning. We just got back here 20 minutes ago. My starters are here now, but the rest of my team isn't here yet. So I haven't seen them. Only thing I've done is checked in on with Julie, my trainer, on an injury report because I had some kids get dinged up last night a little bit. So I wanted a full report on them. But I'll see them here, when we get done and check in with them. But, we played basically 7 kids last night. So 5 of them are here. They seem pretty good.
Question right here.
Morning, Vic. How
Morning.
are you? You talked a lot about how the loss 98-38 2 years ago planted the seeds for
And
so
I'm
much
never
of
going to
what's
outrun that, am I? That's
you're
all
on
right.
your way. But
That's okay.
But in that game, Tierra McCowan in particular was essentially your most effective player by far. And I'm just wondering what you saw that day and what you remember that made you see or think that she could be what she is now.
That is a great question, and the answer is that day, she was about the only one I felt like on my team that wasn't intimidated in Bridgeport. It was 14,000 people in there. They're all wearing blue, and she was the only one that, to me, functioned that day. Wasn't intimidated, competed, and just didn't seem like she was, bright-eyed and, wooed, just in awe. Not wooed, but in awe. So I walked out of there that day feeling really good about her from that standpoint, competitively. And then it was a matter of us going to work and really developing her, which Johnny's done a tremendous job with. So it's a great question, and I've always said, to me, that was my turning point with her as when I felt like she was going to be what she is now, because that day she wasn't intimidated by the crowd, by who she was playing against. She didn't care, and she really, to me, displayed that day. You're welcome.
Question right here.
Hey, Vic, Michelle Vopel
Good
from
morning.
ESPN.com. Can you go back a year with Tori when she was in that shooting slump, and you kept trying to tell her, hey, you can get through this, but eventually she and some of the other starters, you ended up, moving them to the bench and coming off. Can you go back to that and then everything she's done since then? I mean, the work she did in the summer and the way she's kept her shooting percentage all this year. I feel like nobody's probably upped her draft stock more than Tori has this year.
Sure, it's again a great, when she was in that slump, we looked at a lot of film, and the film shows shot selection more than anything. Her form's always been great. She's a big-time high-rise jump shooter, hard to get to her, big frame. So it's not mechanics for her a lot of times. It's just selection sometimes and the contested shot. Last night her first 2 shots, Michelle, they were in her shot chart. They weren't necessarily in mine. And so, that was something that I wanted to and again, it's just because the kid's trying. It's for nothing else. And again, you got to know, I've seen her make those same 2 shots 100 times in her career, and I saw her make them 100 times in high school with 3 people hanging on her. And so, for her, it's just been showing film, showing shot selection. Hey, there's a hand in your face. You're contested heavily. Or, hey, you're settling here. Look who's guarding you. Go get you a 10-footer instead of the 22-footer. As far as this summer, I just think the maturity of her confidence, she's got a presence. People talk about swag all the time and swagger. Well, it's hard to have swag if you don't have a skill set. I've heard coaches say, well, we've lost our swagger. Well, you've lost 3 in a row. It's hard to have swagger when you've lost 3 in a row. Well, I just think she's got a presence about her. She's very comfortable. When we put her at at the 4. You know, she's not only adapted to the mismatch that she has on offense, but, you know, there's been some mismatches she's had defensively. And I think that adds to her confidence, her ability to defend better and impact the game. She's rebounding at a high level, you know, over 6 a game. So, you know, I think, again, the summer, we do a good job, I think my staff does, of maximizing our 2 hours a week for 8 weeks. We don't try to wear them out, but we kind of space that out over a week where it might be 4 30-minute workouts or 3 40-minute workouts. We really pay attention to detail. We're a big technique program.
Question there.
Lakin Lippman with the Indianapolis Star. Right over here. Right.
There you go.
What do you know about Jackie Young, and did you know about her before last night?
Yeah, I mean, I know she's had some big games for them. She's explosive, very, you know, just a heck of a player. They've got so many weapons. All those kids can really score. And her in particular, again, I think explosive is the best word. She can get to you a number of ways. And, again, I think they're playing with a lot of confidence as well.
Are you here, Doug?
Coach, I saw you sitting on press row last night watching the game, scouting, obviously. Did you just, as you're going and watching it, take her second as a fan, going, wow, this is great to watch? I mean, I'd pay money to sit there and watch these two teams go at it and play basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. I was complaining about my seat because I was so low and sitting behind people I really couldn't see, you know, that well. But it was a heck of a game. I mean, you're talking about 2 great coaches in our industry who have had so much success and great players out there making plays left and right. And it just makes you proud to be a part of this industry. And so it was a heck of a game, great for our game. And, you know, one team made one more play than the other. That's what it came down to, one play. Did I enjoy it as a fan? Probably not, because I'm throwing up, worrying about it. It didn't matter who I was going to play. You know, I'll be worried about it for the next 2 days. That's just who I am, because I have such tremendous respect for both those programs. But it was certainly an outstanding game.
Right here, Michelle.
Vic, if you go back to 2011 when you were at A&M, you were designing the defense to go against Muffet. I know Mississippi State hasn't played Notre Dame, but you've played her in a championship game.
Yes.
I wonder if you could talk about, even though the personnel is entirely different, what are the things about Notre Dame that are still the same, and how is it difficult to scheme against them?
Yeah, you know, they're so, to me, they just have so many weapons offensively, and they have so many ways they can score. I mean, they're smart. They tell you what they do well. They pass interiorly well. You know, in the lane, 10 feet, 5 feet. They're just really, really good. They're smart and heady. You know, even I think their leadership, it really stands out, especially when you've gone through what they've gone through. I think they have tremendous leadership. And look, that starts at the top. That starts on that bench with that coaching staff. I just think you have to admire that. So I think from a standpoint of maturity, leadership, I think they all have a presence, you know. And again, I know that's what, you know, her program's about. It's what our program's about. We want our kids to have a presence. And but I think offensively, they're just, boy, so multidimensional. It's just, you know, you can't really help off anybody, you know. And so you're going to have to win some one-on-one battles.
Question right here.
Yeah, Vic, specifically, what are some of the things you're going to do differently today than you did last year?
Sure. Well, I just mentioned it to my seniors, and they screamed for the team doctor because they think, and I knew they would. They thought I've lost my mind. You know, we're not gonna go out there and kill ourselves in practice. Number one, we're gonna really spend a lot of time stretching, and especially with those kids that played a lot of minutes last night. We'll obviously going to shoot a lot. We still haven't really shot it well, you know, so we're going to shoot a lot, and we'll go through their stuff, and we'll go through our stuff, and that'll be it. That's unusual for me because I'm typically a drill guy, a fundamental guy for 30, 45 minutes of practice. We're going to do that come heck or high water. Probably going to bypass that today.
Michelle.
Vic, you've got Victoria for one more game, and then she's going to move on to presumably a pro career. What kind of pro do you think that she's going to make as a rookie, and do you get her ready for that pro career while you're also, you know, fitting her into what you're doing in your season?
I think, you know, if you've watched us play, you've watched me coach her. Anything and everything I've ever talked to her about, dealt with her in coaching, in game, out of game, I'm trying to get her ready for that next level, realizing that the next level is, you know, you got to produce, you got to do it their way, or they'll find somebody that will. And so I think for her, number one, she's going to be a great pro. When all she's got to do is worry about wake up in the morning, take care of her body and eat right, and go work out, and not have to worry about, you know, right now she's up at 7 every morning and dealing with 1-year-olds. Been doing it all semester as part of her internship. She tells me she's not changing diapers, but she's doing everything else. You know, she does that all day until she gets to practice, you know, this semester. But just being able to focus on her job, I think she's still a long way from being the player that she can be. And I just think she's really good right now. I think she's going to be a heck of a pro. The longer she's been with me, she's gone from being that volume shooter and got a score to now understanding what shot selection is and enjoying the pass and the assist and being able to make it. You know, in her high school career, y'all, I'm telling you, if I didn't see it 10 times, I saw it 100 times. If she passed the ball, there was a timeout, and her coach met her at half court, and she took a chewing. Well, so I got to break that. And it's hard to break when somebody's been chewed out for passing the ball all their career. And so she's really learned to enjoy the assist. And we've put players with her that can finish. So she's going to be a heck of a pro, no doubt in my mind, and going to do exactly what you want her to do all day, every day. Thank you.
Question here.
Hey, Coach Nina from USA Today.
Good morning.
You referenced Notre Dame struggles with injuries a little earlier. How hard is that as a coach to overcome, and what do you have to do when you have to change plans that many times?
Well, a blessing for her is she's had some pretty good players still there to play, you know. And so I think for her it's the chemistry piece, and then it's you've got to really, you know, the wear and tear piece over the course of a grueling season. You know, we've not played very many kids either. And so you got to really do the maintenance piece and make sure those kids are staying healthy and taking care of themselves too. You know, you got to educate on eat and sleep and all that. So, you know, again, let's talk about the kids that are there. Boy, they're really good, talented. A lot of McDonald's All-Americans there. So they've been able to really overcome it. And I think the biggest piece is just the chemistry piece with the new, you know, with kids maybe playing more minutes than maybe they were going to play, and then just the maintenance of playing at such a high level all year long. They have really been able to do that. And again, you play the schedule they play the schedule we play. Man, it is a long, hard grind this season that we call basketball. You know, it's the only sport on campus that goes both semesters. If you're doing your job, we start conditioning at our place. It starts in late August because we start school in the middle. And if you're doing your job, you're playing on April 1st. Today's March 30th. So I think that's the thing that people miss about basketball. It's really it's hard on these kids. And, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to go to class and graduate and do all that and have good grade point averages.
Question right here.
Hey, Vic. Robbie Falk with Starkville Daily News. Apologize if you've been asked this, but last year I know y'all had it was really crazy night after the semifinals. Y'all had the celebration and all, and then went back to the hotel, had to sign autographs. I think y'all might have gone to bed at like 4 a.m. or something. How much different is it this year to play that early game, scout, go home, get a little bit of rest, and get this day? How much different does this feel this year as opposed to last year?
Well, it doesn't feel any different to me because I was in there, I said it earlier, I was in the film room at 3:30 going, I did this last year. How is this happening again? But I realized my kids had already been to bed where they hadn't been this time last year. So our kids got to bed quite a bit earlier, obviously, this year. And I've talked to my starters this morning, and they said they feel, they're fine, and they did get some rest. I think it'll be, from that standpoint, hopefully it won't be as difficult. You know what? The opponent hadn't changed, though. Still a heck of an opponent. Great program, well coached, and great players. So, we've still got to go play.
Question here in the aisle.
Coach, last year in the post-game press conference after losing to South Carolina, you mentioned that you thought you'll be back, but you also talked about like the confetti, and that's something you're looking forward to. Have you thought about, this year, just that feeling of getting that far and coming up just short, and is it something that you've kind of looked back to and used to hopefully avenge this tomorrow?
Well, I mean, we've not dodged talking about winning championships at Mississippi State, whether it's Southeastern Conference championships or winning a national championship. We've talked all year about unfinished business, but it's one thing to talk the talk. You've got to walk the walk. And I think these kids have walked it every day in practice, preparation for games, in games. And, here we are again. We're in that game. We're in the last game. So I do think that our kids have been prepared for this moment. They've wanted to be in this moment. And last night's a great indication of how bad they want to be. You talk about toughness. We have a saying, when it gets too tough for everybody else, that's when it gets about right for us. Well, it was just about right last night. And I think we've embraced that, and we've lived it.
Question, Michelle?
Vic, you've talked about feeling like you've had a target on your back as a team, playing undefeated for a long time. Is there any way in which tomorrow night's game is a bit of a release? You're here. You got to the place you wanted to be. You kind of survived that gauntlet. Is there a bit of a relief to get there as well?
I don't think so. I think our kids, they want to be in tomorrow night's game and they want to win. I think they'll be, if we don't, I think there's going to be a lot of disappointment. I think our kids are emotionally invested in trying to win a national championship. They have been since day one, So while it's great to be here, some teams you just want to make the NCAA tournament. Other teams, they're interested in that seeding and hosting. Other teams are interested in this day. I think we've been interested in tomorrow for a long time.
Question here in the aisle.
Nick, I just wonder, it was an amazing day yesterday for basketball, and both games going into overtime, and just all the theatrics and dramatic finishes. When you go through a day like that, and now you have a championship to play, what is that like to be a part of that, and to the challenge of building on an amazing day of basketball and now trying to go out and now win the whole thing?
Well, certainly as a coach, I'm proud of my sport. And again, I thought it was a wonderful environment. All four teams provided, their fans provided for our sport. And so it's a great day. We've got, we did our part. Now for us, we're in the game now. What do you have left? We have a saying, one more. We got one more. But we also, the one more means one more when you're playing. One more rebound, one more toughness play, one more charge, one more steal, one more stop, one more exit. I mean, it's just one more. It's going to take a one more tomorrow for somebody. And so for us, I think that's where we are right now. It's one more.
Right here, Doug.
I think last year you played in the finals, you played a team you knew probably inside and out because it was South Carolina, SEC rival. Is it easier or harder to play a team that you've never played before, that the kids don't know who the opponent is as far as like that well? Or is it, it's something new and we'll have the tension that this is who we have to play against and that sort of thing?
Sure. For me, obviously it's a familiarity. So, when you have such a short turnaround, maybe somebody you've played, it helps. Obviously, we've never played Notre Dame. I played them in 2011, but I mean, that's completely, a long time ago. So I think it's the challenge. Again, I told my staff last night, hey, this is where we do our job and we do it really well. The one-day prep, getting our kids ready, putting them in a position to be successful. I don't, you know, I have so much confidence in my staff, and I know they're going to be, you know, we're going to put our kids in a great position. So it's our time to make sure we do our job so that our kids can do their job.
Question here, Adam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a very short first question, then a follow-up, if you don't mind. What is your why?
What's my why?
Do you understand what I'm referring to?
You give it to me.
You said you've asked the kids what is their why as to why Mississippi State can win or should win, or whatever verb you want to use, a national championship. What is your why?
Well, again, I think for us, our why has been all year. Why us? Why not us? We're good enough. You know, we're tough enough. I think our skill set's good enough. So, you know, we talked about that earlier in the year when we lost a couple kids to injury and all that. Well, that doesn't affect, to me, it didn't affect us and put us in a bad spot. So, you know, why not us? And the answer is we're good enough. You know, now we got to go play a great team. But in my mind, you know, 2 years ago I told the team before we played I thought we had a Final Four team. This year I thought we had a team that could compete for a national championship. Here we are.
Follow up, if I could. Is it fair that tomorrow's game could, or will it define the legacy of the seniors?
I don't think so. I think their legacy is etched in stone. Certainly it would add another, I don't know what the word is, epithet or whatever you want to call it. It adds something to their legacy. But look, they've won 128 games now in their career. They've won a Southeastern Conference championship, the first one in the history of the school in women's sport. They did what only one other team has done in going 32-0 in the Southeastern Conference. So I think their legacy is pretty well set. If we win, to me it just adds another line to what they've brought, because what they've done for Mississippi State and for women's basketball in particular really has more to do with off the court than on, in my opinion. The impact they've had in our community, on our fan base, on our university, the pride that they have instilled in so many people across the country. We've got people here at the game that they're all worked up over all kinds of things, you know, during the course of the game. And I look at them and go, you know, I'm wondering, you know, 6 years ago, were you that worked up about something that happened in women's basketball? But here we are today, and it's important to them. And what's happened is it's because of our kids, these seniors in particular, but all of our kids. I call them, I told you, I call them the people's team. They, you know, they just love our kids. So it's special what they've been able to do to raise the brand of Mississippi State.
Question over here.
It seems like every opposing coach gets asked, you know, what are you going to do against Tiara McCowan? I mean, what have you seen coaches try to stop her, and how do you counteract that?
I've seen coaches use her like a clothesline and hang all over her. You know, you know, that's what's so amazing about her numbers. She's just done it night in and night out with the best game plan, the best players, trying to attack her in so many different ways. The place where that kid's grown so much is, you know, you take some of the beatings that she takes, it's really hard to keep that positive attitude and not let it get to you a little bit. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's physical down there. That's all I'm saying. And for her, you know, really working with her on that piece mentally, hey, you got to play. You just got to play through it. We talk about playing through it all the time. Play through it. And I think she's been really good, and we continue to work with her on that, because it can get, you know, it can get tough down there. It can get frustrating. You know, with a post player, the mental piece is as big as the physical piece. You're down there, you're rubbing on everybody. You're just, it's so physical. You get a tough rebound, you outlet it, you run down the floor, you post up, you're wide open, and some guard misses you. Well, that can get frustrating after a couple times. And for a big, you got to let that go. Okay, I'm still going to go down there and rebound, get that next rebound. I'm not going to go, you know what, you didn't get me the ball, so you go rebound. You know, you got to have that mental toughness that, hey, I'm still going to do my job. Maybe you'll catch me the next time. And so I think that's for post players in their development. It's the mental piece sometimes as much as the physical piece. So, you know, I'm proud of T. But again, we continue to work with her.
We'll take a final question here and then one from our junior journalism.
Vic, you probably addressed this, but I missed it. You've achieved so much, but what would taking this next step mean for Mississippi State?
Well, I mean, it'd be the first one we've ever won in any sport. You know, I think enough said. I mean, it just, you know, it's so hard to do. We live in a tremendous conference. We know how hard it is to win those championships. But to come on this stage at this level and compete against the teams that we have to compete against, you know, in a NCAA tournament and then in a Final Four. I mean, tomorrow you're going against one of the really tradition-rich, storied programs in the history of sport, not just women's basketball, but sport. Women's basketball, Muffet's done there, and the consistency they've done it, it's incredible. So hard to do, year in and year out. They're one of those programs, like I said, you either have a top, you know, I want a top 10 program, not a top 25 team. She's one of those top 10 programs year in and year out. You're not looking down there at 11 through 20, well, where are they? No, you're looking they're in somewhere in that top 10 year in and year out. And so you've got to, you know, you got to respect that, which we obviously do, and realize how hard that is to do. And so, you know, obviously they've got our full attention, but to go against someone like that, hey, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this.
We'll take a final question from our junior journalism in the back.
Hi, my name is Grace Martin. I'm with the Junior Journalism Workshop.
How you doing, Grace?
I'm good. I was wondering, last night, how are you feeling going into overtime, and what was like your plan of attack?
Yeah, a lot of confidence. We feel like overtime is our time, and you know, to get to overtime, to have to execute a great, you know, to execute that play, and then to make the shots. One thing to execute the play. It's another thing you got to still go in there and make that shot. And to get through and get to overtime at that point, you know, overtime we feel like we're built for. And then we obviously had a little momentum. And so I felt really good about it. We typically don't lose many overtime games. You know, historically at Mississippi State, even in my career, that's toughness time. We really pride ourselves on our toughness, competitive spirit, and just you know, the will to win. And I think that's when you bow your back and bow your neck, and that's when toughness comes to the top. And again, when it gets too hard, when it just gets almost impossible, that's when it gets about right for us.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
All right, praise the Lord and go Dogs.